Jay, first of all, I just want to say it's wonderful to be in conversation with you again on Filme Shilmy, and congratulations on the launch of your new song, Beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Last year, you reunited with Rishi Rich for Nakre, and now you're back with Beautiful, which is obviously from the third part of your mixtape series, Mistress. So, what inspired you to create this song and this series?
The Mistress album, first one that I ever did, was, a result of me wanting to, it was a passion project, it was a result of me wanting to uh, do an album that wasn't geared towards the charts, that wasn't geared towards necessarily mainstream success. It was more just a passion project. Much like a movie director might, have the option of doing your blockbuster movies, but wants to do an art house movie to fulfill that part of him.
Right.
The creative part, we all have that as creatives. And so for me, that's where that came from. And The Mistress 3 was the final chapter.
M3, what would you like people to sort of take away from the album? Because obviously it is, like you said, a very passion project.
M3, the reason I did it is because The Mistress 1 and The Mistress 2 are definitely fan favorites. Um, they they struck a chord with the fans because I think the fans knew that it wasn't me doing a commercial project. It was me giving them music from the heart. It was me writing a story for them. If you listen to M1, Mistress One, you can't skip a song because if you skip a song, you're not going to know what the story is. So it's like a movie. You have to listen to it the whole way through. And then Mistress Two was written because I needed to continue the story because I wanted to write the perspective. It's 3 acts. So in the beginning is where he's having the affairs, the mistress, and all the feelings he has for her. The second one is the mixed feelings he has, the guilt, the is this right, this is wrong, I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm into this girl, and it's that sort of drama that he has and the internal conflict that he has. But then I had to finish the story, and I almost wasn't going to do it because fans loved Mistress 1 and 2 so much. I didn't want to ruin the legacy. I thought maybe just leave it there. Like sometimes people try too hard and they do one more and then you're like, you ruined it, man. You should have just left it where it was.
Right.
So for me, I almost wasn't going to write it, but I did because I needed to end the story. I needed to let fans know how it ends.
Sure. Now, in the process of creating the Mystery series, what did you discover the most about yourself?
I love the fact that because it's obviously a fictional movie, I know exactly, it's not a random thing. An album is so random sometimes.
Yeah.
One song's about this, another one's a dance song, another one's a love song, another one's a sad song, another one's a reggae song, another one's a R&B song. It's so mishmashed. There's no story. It's not tangible. It's not a whole complete thing.
Yeah.
Whereas writing this, I know the story because it's only about one thing. So I can go in there like writing a novel. It's like writing Harry Potter. She knows her characters so well. She could go anywhere she wanted them. She could write another one because she knows them so well. So for me, because this was, in essence, a movie, I know the characters so well that I was able to use my imagination in such a nice way that it was such a release as a creative person to be able to put myself in this world, submerge myself into this world and go, where do I want to take this now? And it was just like, I don't know, it was like writing a book for me. It was really an amazing process.
And the way you've described this whole process, it sounds very, very fascinating, actually. And it seems like it's been very vivid for you because you genuinely have known exactly what you wanted to do and you've been focused. Has that, in a way, perhaps given you a bit of I guess, a taster and a bit of what do you call it, an inspiration to perhaps make a film now or do something or venture out to something on that field
For
as
sure,
well?
man. Definitely a lot more to come from me. Not just music, a lot more other stuff.
Oh, wow. Lockdown has obviously had a major impact on the world, and I think how we operate as humans. What kept the artist in you alive throughout this difficult period?
Well, the thing is, I've always been a firm believer that don't try to control things that you know are out of your control. That will only cause anxiety and frustration. there is nothing I can do personally that is going to cure COVID. There is
Mm,
nothing I can do personally that's going to open up events and concerts again. The only thing that I can do personally and that I
right.
can control is my reaction to where I am at and the position I'm in. And so, therefore, if I focus on that, I could put myself in a good space. And
Lovely.
that's the way I looked at it is, you know, we're, the way I looked at it is that we're in creative jail now. That's it, you know. So there's nowhere I can go. So be creative, and that's what I've been doing.
Sure, sure. Now, you grew up in Hounslow, and being a British Asian, what would you say kind of impacted your taste in music, and how did that taste sort of transpire in terms of the styles you created initially and now?
Well, you know, growing up in the UK, in a Punjabi household, I was subjected to all types of influence, musical influence, whether it's Bollywood, Bhangra, traditional folk, you know, R&B, hip hop, drum and bass, reggae, all pop, you know, all of this great music that was around me. It helped shape the person I am, you know?
Right. Yeah. And I think also like because I remember initially as well when you broke through, there was a lot of your music was a lot of R&B with an Indian sort of touch, with an Indian fusion that you had. So what according to you kind of makes the perfect musical fusion? Because you've done it so well.
I think, you know, the key to all of this is to make it sound as organic as possible. I think if anything is forced, it's obvious, it's evident. If something isn't flowing, if it's not natural, if it sounds like you're just deliberately trying to put two genres together, but it sounds like a mishmash and it doesn't, you know, it's not, it doesn't gel properly. That to me is a very obvious, you know, inorganic way of making music. So for me, I always try to do it in a way that works naturally and organically without forcing it.
Mm. Now, when you began your journey as an artist, I mean, did you ever expect to witness the immense success that you've had? Because I think if any child goes up to their parents who's of British Asian descent and they decide to go into the creative or arts field, there's always that ounce of skepticism rather on the parents' part. So, I mean, when you kind of started out, was there ever that sort of reaction as well?
You know what it is, man? I don't do anything by halves. You know what I mean?
Mm,
I'm not gonna ever go and do something and be, oh, let's try it out. I might do well. I don't look at anything in life like that.
yeah.
Certainly not a career choice. So for me, everything I do, I put my whole heart into it, and I have a lot of self belief. I'm a very hard worker when it comes to something I believe in. I study it as if it was a subject. So for me, if I'm going into music, I'm going to study it the same way I would have studied chemistry or biology to be a doctor. You know, you need to understand what field you're in. So what's the point in taking up anything if you don't think you're going to do well in it? You know what I mean?
Sure.
So everything I do, I believe fully 100% that it's going to win.
Hmm. I just wanted to get your view on this actually. What do you think it is about your music that the audience has struck a chord with?
I think I started off doing something that was brand new, mixing the genres the way that I did. You know, I'm not saying it hadn't been done before, the fusion thing, um, but having a vocalist who is of Indian descent and is Indian, but also because I'm British Indian, I therefore sing and speak in English. So therefore, I was, you know, the first, really, I guess, to put it on the map in a big way, English singing artist of Indian descent. And I think that was something brand new. And then mixing that with the cultures of Indian music and R&B music really was something new, I think, that struck a chord with a lot of people. Because if you were a fan, if you were a British Indian, first generation British born Indian, you were attached to your roots just like I am. But
Mm,
also you've grown up in a Western culture where you're growing up with R&B music, hip hop music, reggae music,
yeah.
Western influences. So I married the two. Rishi and I, when we did that, we married the two things that are literally the biggest influences of a British-born, first-generation British-born Indian.
Yes, and I think that is definitely something which we look up to. It's like we mentioned in the previous interview that we did with you and Rishi as well. It's like Apache Indian when he kind of came up with this amazing fusion of reggae with sort of Indian Bhangra, I guess, fusion music. I think it was so different and so trailblazing that everyone kind of looks up to it now. And in a way, it's kind of paved a new path for new artists and more artists as well to kind of follow that. But of course, whilst we're all aware of your triumphs and your breakthrough as well, there must have been quite a few setbacks along the way, right? I mean, describe a very difficult time that you faced in your life and what gave you the strength to kind of overcome that.
I think really, this industry is changing so quickly, and we didn't know it was going to do that. So much like the pandemic, we were running around chasing our tails, trying to figure out what to do because everything changed so quickly. Now, nobody was expecting the pandemic. So therefore, people weren't prepared as to how do you carry on living life when this thing has changed everything we once knew and everything we once, the way that we the way that we conducted our life, we can't carry on doing it that way. We have to do it another way. So we had to adjust on the fly. It was the same thing with the music industry. Nobody knew that it was going to get digitized. Nobody knew that it was going to end up being something that was a tangible product, but then became a digital product. And not only a digital product, a free digital product.
Yeah, it's true. Exactly.
That's the crazy part. It's free. If you really think about it, music is free for most people to enjoy. You go on Spotify or YouTube, listen to music for free.
Yeah. I mean, we have ads in between, but that's the only thing we have to pay for the free sort of aspect is the ads that we have to sit through. But that's about it, right?
So the industry, the music industry, in order to survive, had to figure out how do we continue to spend millions of dollars and millions of pounds on artists when the whole thing has shifted to something which in essence could be just digested for free. So it was an interesting shift for us.
But I think it's become a very big plus point as well for a lot of artists out there, right? Because now their talent is more easily and quickly recognized as well. I mean, do you kind of think because of the fact that the digital space has opened up so much and because it is so much more accessible now, do you kind of wish you kind of had that when you were beginning as well?
I mean, look, one thing's for sure. If all of those big hits from 10 plus years ago were out now, it'd be a whole different story.
Right.
They'd have a billion streams. A song like Down, if it came out now, would have a billion plus streams. Yeah. The level of magnitude of the hit it was. In now's day and age, if the only way you could listen to it was by streaming it, it would be insane. It would be through the roof. So, of course, would be the Instagram followings and the blah, 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 because everything is digital now. So what's interesting is the artists who came pre-social media and pre-digital era shared some of that following with real people, not sort of digital space. It was the real fans that you can't see who might not have social media accounts. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a very interesting change, but I don't wish for anything to be different. I never believe that, I wish it. No, man, everything. The reason I am here right now the way I am is because of everything that happened in my journey. And I fully believe that, everything's meant to be the way it is. So.
Yes. And do you know what I love the most about you, Jay, and what I admire the most as a British Asian myself? I think it's the fact that you've not forgotten your roots. You're still, even though you're sort of doing such great work internationally and producing some great music, you're still that boy from Hounslow. We're all familiar with your charisma as Jay Sean, right? Everyone loves the sort of craft you have. But how would you describe Kamalji? I mean, what are you like when you're not performing and when you're not on stage and when you're not the artist that everyone is familiar with?
I'm exactly the same, man. I'm just like this. I'm no different. I'm no different. You know what? I've been doing this for 20 years, nearly 20 years. So, I mean, can you imagine how exhausting that must be to be one person on interview and one person on stage and then another person at home? I can't do it. This is me. Same me that I'm talking to right now, that you're talking to right now, is the same me you're going to bump into on the street, is the same me that you're going to see with my family and friends. I don't put on different hats at all. It is exhausting. It's pointless to me. It's also, it's just tacky to be one way, I think, and then try to sell this person to people. You want them to be into you, but you're not, you're selling them a false product. Yeah. So to me, I don't think that's right. I think that if you want to have tailor-made answers and tailor-made ways and smiling and a perfect, and then you're a different person when they bump into you and you're actually an asshole when they bump into you, they're going to be like, wow, I really liked you, but in real life, you're a prick. So like, I've never ever wanted to be like that. I always wanted to be that the person you see on interviews or the person that you see on TV is the same guy if you happen to bump into me on the streets, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, the whole thing about false advertising, yes, I definitely sort of agree with that aspect as well. And I think it can have a very bad and negative effect on a person when they realize that their artist or their idol is not exactly the person who they'd hoped they'd be or who they tried to be. And I think definitely being real is the way forward. But how do you like stay so grounded, Jay? What is that one factor that keeps you rooted to the ground and not let your head sort of disappear in the cloud, so to speak?
Because all of this is temporary. All of this. All of this is temporary. This is not as important as we think it is. It's not. It's not. There are way more important things going on in the world. There's people who are trying to cure cancer. There's people who are trying to find life on another planet so that we can all survive as a species. So this industry and fame and stuff, it's not that important. The important thing is to be a good person. The important thing is to use this platform for good. The important thing is if you are on this platform and millions of people are watching you and listening to you, be good, do good, spread a good word, spread some wisdom, say good stuff. Don't use that platform for a bad and use that power for bad. That's how I've always believed. And that's, I think, you know, that's probably the reason why I don't let any of this get to me.
And the fact that you're also a father, and it is said that parenthood, of course, changes an individual. How has it changed you personally and professionally?
It hasn't changed me as an artist at all. You know, not one bit. Like, why? I'll be writing nursery rhymes if that was the case. Like, if all I did was inspired by being a dad, what kind of songs am I going to write? So it hasn't changed my artistry. Changed me as a human being 100%. None of this is for me anymore. None of this. This is all for my children. Everything I do is for my children. Every dollar I make is for my kids. Everything I do when I'm out there doing what I do is for my children. It's not for me. And that is the most important, beautiful lesson that I have learned by being a dad is, you know, I'm not living for me anymore. I'm living for my kids.
And that smile says it all, Jay. I just want you to know that smile, that sort of that you just gave whilst you were answering the question, just said it all. And I think, but you know, when they grow up and they kind of approach you and say, Dad, even I want to become a singer, and sort of try and achieve somewhat to what you've achieved. I mean, what would you say to them at that point? Have you ever thought of that? Has that ever crossed your mind?
I'd say, let me hear your songs. If they're shit, there's no way you're getting into this industry.
Brilliant. That's the most realistic.
Better write some good songs. No, listen, man, if they've got a natural talent for it and they're good at it and they love it and they sincerely love it from the bottom of their heart, then who am I to stop them from following their dreams? My parents didn't stop me. You know what I mean? I just want them to be happy. I can give them good advice because I've been there. You know, one thing I will never do is falsely gas them. Like, I'm not going to just give them I think that's really, really bad when people do that. I think you need some really strong people, some really, honest people around you when you do these things. I don't like it when people are surrounded by yes men and nobody's honest with them. And then one day their hearts get broken and then they turn around and say, well, why didn't anybody tell me? Or why was nobody honest with me? You guys are meant to love me, you know? And so I always believe in that.
Yeah, no, true. And as bitter as the truth may sound, it's very important to have that. So, who along your journey showed you the mirror, actually, of
My
truth?
parents, my brother, my friends.
Mm-hmm.
My best friends to this day have been my best friends for 20 plus years. And they're very honest with me. You know, like the mixtape M3 that I dropped, I don't send it to my friends and say, hey guys, have a listen to my new album. I know that I don't have to do that. They're not my fans, they're my friends. I'm not promoting to them. They will listen because they're friends and they support me and they will give me their honest feedback. So, and friends being friends, especially guy friends, you know, because it's very rare you're gonna, you know, we rip on each other all the time. That's what we do. Like we rip on each other all the time. So therefore, for them to say something nice and for nice words to come out of their mouth is quite rare. So when you do get messages going, yo, bro, that M3 is fucking sick. That M3 is my favorite song is this, my favorite song is that. Wow, I really like that, bro. That's real. That's honestly because I didn't ask them to say it. I didn't ask for their opinion. They offered it because they care, because they're real friends. And I think that's, you know, that's a really good indicator.
Yeah, and even when you moved actually from Hounslow to America, I mean, was there ever this sense of culture shock for you? I mean, what was it like for you settling in initially?
Um, it was easy because I didn't expect anything. I didn't go there with expectations. I didn't come to America going, I must succeed. I must be. I just went there going, look, man, let's see what happens. You know what I mean? I've got the rest of the world anyway. I'm very lucky. I've been touring the whole world. If I blow up in America, amazing. If I don't, I'm not going to kill myself about it because it's a beautiful blessing just to have that shot at America anyway. Who
Mm.
gets that, man? There's big artists and humongous artists never have had a chance at even having a hit in America. So
Yeah.
for me, I was like, listen, if I do it, I do it, and it's going to be a beautiful blessing. And thank God it really did, you know.
Yeah. And you know, because you said you kind of grew up a lot as well with various music inspirations, including Bollywood. And you've actually sang a few Bollywood numbers as well. Like I remember Kya Kool Hai Hum. Was there ever more opportunities for you to kind of make a full-fledged like musical career in Bollywood? Was there ever that sort of opportunity there? And if there was, how come you didn't really go for it?
No. Been opportunities that, you know, come and go, and some aren't the right opportunities and some are the good ones. And, you know, so for me, you know, it has to be right. You know what I mean? It just has to be right.
Yeah. And obviously, finally, because obviously lockdown has been a huge game changer for a lot of us, for good, for bad, for ugly, but it has definitely changed the way we are as people. What do you think will challenge you now? Because obviously, I'm sure it must have changed your perspective on life and the way you view it as well, right? So, how do you think that change will perhaps reflect or impact your craft as well as an artist now?
Oh,
Anything that will challenge you further?
oh, yeah, I think the ever changing landscape of music. You see, music changes so much over the years in terms of the way that people sing. If you listen to how Fred Astaire used to sing back in the day and the crooner voice that he would have compared to the way that people sing now, you don't hear people go, I did it my. You don't have people singing like that now. The
Right.
style changes.
Yeah.
The way that I started singing 20 years ago, I have to understand and realize that style of singing might not be the same style in 5 years. It might not even be the same style next month. You have to, and the style of music production might not be the same. Definitely not the same as it was 5 years ago. I listen to music of mine from 10 years ago and go, Jesus, that really sounds like 10 years ago. Like I couldn't do a song like that now. It would sound old. So you have to move with the times. That is the most important thing. Move with the times.
Mm. And since we're talking about moving times, there might be a lot of aspiring musicians or singers or budding artists who will be watching this interview. What advice would you say to them for them to sort of start out, or maybe perhaps try and achieve uh, a promising and very fruitful career in music?
There's no guarantee of that. There's no one path at all. That's the first thing. The reason I say that is honesty. You're trying to get into this industry, got to be thick-skinned. So any bullshit that people tell you, oh, do this and you will win this way. No, that is a surefire way to anxiety, because you were told by somebody you admire to do this. You did it and it didn't work. So I am always honest with people. And I say, listen, man, there is no one way. For one person, it might be uploading YouTube covers. Another person, it might be doing a circuit, local circuit, getting fans, or, you know, real fans from the streets and building grassroots. Another person, it might be through TikTok. Another person, it might be through, you know, SoundCloud. Whatever it is, there's so many different ways. Do the one that you love. Do the way that you enjoy. Do the one that keeps you going, that fires you up, that you love. Do it. See what works for you, and stick at it.
That's wonderful, Jay. I think a lot of people hearing that will be very inspired by that. I think a lot of people are going to love M3, and obviously I'm sure they're already loving Beautiful. And I think whatever comes out from Jay Sean, it's always going to be top quality and it's always going to be personal. I think that's what really connects us with your work, is the fact that it's very from the heart. And I think I'm very much looking forward to seeing that. And it's always a pleasure to speak with you, Jay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, bud. Thank you, man.
Thank you. Take care, Jay.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, Anuj. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.